So where does our consciousness come from? Doesn't come from the water. Doesn't come from the calcium. Where does it come from? It doesn't come from any of these material elements. It's something higher. And that it's part of the nature of the soul. The life and the consciousness. And this verse is spoken by Parikshit. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavat, which I'm sure, particularly Gujarati people generally very quite attached to the Bhagavat. So Bhagavat is spoken by a person called Shukadev Goswami, to this person here, Parikshit, Maharaj, King Parikshit, because, it's a bit of a long story, but because Parikshit had been cursed, actually by a child, a Brahmin child, who was half qualified. He was qualified enough to be able to curse, and the curse would happen. But he was not qualified enough to know that you shouldn't go around cursing people. And so he cursed the king, and it was extremely foolish of him. Very, very foolish, because he was only partially qualified. So he cursed him to die in 7 days, not just drop dead on the spot, but to die in 7 days by the bite of a snake bird. A snake bird. So in other words, Parikshit had warning. Because in those days, if people cursed, it would happen. Nowadays, I'm not encouraging anyone at all to do it. But if people do nowadays curse you, don't worry, it won't work. In fact, it's said that if someone curses you, but they don't have that power, that like internal power, or even that sort of mystical power to impose the curse on you, then it comes back on them. So don't curse anyone, because with respect, you're all very nice. And I'm sure many of you, all of you even, are very sincere, but you don't have the power to effect a curse on anyone. So it'll come back to you. And even, you can understand when people not exactly curse, like I curse you to become an XYZ, but, just, you are a ... That sort of cursing language. It'll come back to them. Yeah, it'll come back to them. Like they say, if someone offends you and you can't forgive them, you're not able to forgive them, means it just stays with you. And you're just regularly thinking, this person, what this person did to me, that sort of thing. Then you are already, by not being able to forgive, you're sort of effectively cursing yourself, because the other person's carrying on with their life. They probably forgot about whatever happened, but you are carrying it with you. You're carrying it with you. So you're sort of cursing yourself. So anyway, we should always try to be nice. Yeah. And even if someone doesn't like you, and sometimes they let you know or they tell other people, try not to worry about it too much. It's probably happening, because you hurt someone in the past. Yeah. Because you know about karma, right? What goes around comes around. If you do good, you get good. In very simple terms. If you do bad, you get bad. So if someone comes to you and insults you in some, unpleasant way, maybe they use bad language and it's just really rotten. You know why they're doing it? Because you did it to someone before. That's why. Because you did it to someone before. That's karma. And so now you're getting the exact same thing back. Yeah. Those are the laws of karma. You get back whatever you give, you get back. So, yes, so we should really try to be nice. And when things which are not nice happen to us, we should understand and try to get it into our sometimes, sometimes we have difficulty getting things into our heads firmly enough that they stay there. But we should try and think, to take a dramatic example, if someone comes and punches you in the nose, it's because you punched someone in the nose before. If you had not punched the person in the nose, you wouldn't have been punched in the nose now. Yeah. Seriously. At least that's the principle. And, in that regard, just think. If what you give is what you get back, think what, I assume you've heard of Colonel Sanders? I hope you don't support him. But anyway, he's responsible for who knows how many billions of poor little innocent chicken being killed just ruthlessly. What's he going to get? Oh, Hare Krishna. It hurts just to think about it. But that's how it works. That's how it works, actually. So, Parikshit, somehow or other he got cursed. And we might think, aha, he cursed someone before. In this case, it's a little different. It is actually the arrangement of the Lord that he got cursed. He got cursed because he was out in the forest and suddenly became hungry and thirsty, and he went to find, some sort of dwelling residence, and he found this little ashram of one sage and his son, little hut in the forest. And Parikshit was just so disturbed by hunger and thirst. He went in, the father, the sage, Shamika, was deep in meditation. And so he was not externally conscious. He didn't know Parikshit was there. He was just in another world, internally. And Parikshit came in and asked him, can I have some water? No response. And he tried a few times, no response. And he got really upset. So he walked out and he found, I think it's like snakes. They molt, isn't it? They give up their sort of outer bodies sort of thing. Yeah. So he found one on the ground and he took it in and wrapped it around the snake, the sage's shoulders. Take that. You wouldn't give me any water. Now, the thing is, the next day when he found out that the son of the sage had cursed him to die in 7 days, he went and sat on the bank of the Ganges, and Shukadev Goswami came and instructed him, and he didn't eat, and he didn't drink, and he didn't sleep for 7 days and 7 nights. So therefore, we can understand him getting disturbed after just a few hours in the forest, to the point where he became overwhelmed with anger. It's not him, it's a special arrangement of the Lord, because the Lord knew that Parikshit is a very great devotee. And right now is the time when the Srimad Bhagavatam should be spoken for humanity, for the future also. So he, Parikshit, is the right person to receive that knowledge, and Shukadev is the right person to give it to him. So that was part of the great mission of the Lord, to, as we know, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he comes to deliver the pious, the devotees, destroy the demons, and to re-establish principles of religion. So with Arjuna, he re-established Bhagavad Gita. But now Arjuna's gone. Arjuna had already passed away. So how to re-establish Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like the commentary, you could say it's like the commentary on Bhagavad Gita. You need the right person to receive it and the right person to speak it to them. So that was the Lord's arrangement. So now Parikshit's asking, first question, very broad. What's the duty of everyone? Everyone, at all times, in all places. What should everyone do? But particularly, especially, what is the duty of someone who is soon about to die? Because that's him. Yeah, he's asking that for himself. But as Prabhupada said, he's asking for everyone. He's asking for all of us. So therefore, but the thing is, Parikshit cursed to die in 7 days, and it happens. It happens. He dies by the bite of a snake bird. But he's on such an elevated level of spiritual realization, he just returns to the kingdom of God. He doesn't have to take birth again, like Puranjan. Do you remember Puranjan? He was not spiritually conscious at all. He was wife conscious. We laugh, but there is such a thing. Yeah. Yes. Right. He was wife conscious, so he became a wife. And, all of us sitting here, we've got our histories, the way we were brought up and whatever, how we've lived. But if Krishna consciousness, as with Krishna Chandra Prabhu, our host, and his good family, because they're all very serious about these things, and Namacharya Prabhu, very senior, even with respect, even more senior devotee. Even though they are or have been, are and retired. They have been working gentlemen. He was a Nedbank sort of like bank manager sort of something. So, bank consciousness. No. But along with working in order to maintain his family, which he did very nicely, they're two very nice children who I know extremely well. Yeah, so along with looking after all of that, he really gave his attention to cultivating Krishna consciousness. He really, really did. I know, because I know him for many years. So we need to do that. That is, as Parikshit says, the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances. The temporary duties like being a businessman, being a, what do you do? Work? Operations. Being an operations man. And what's your age?
48.
Your middle age. Prabhupada said old age begins at 60.
I only realized it when you said it, Murat.
One of our devotees in America, he used to be here, Giriraj Maharaj, was speaking with Bhakti Bringa Govinda Swami, another very, very senior devotee, and a very great devotee, who visits here from time to time. And at the time, Govinda Maharaj was like 65 or something. Now he's about 72 or 3. He was 65. And he said to Giriraj Maharaj, he said something to the effect that I'm beginning to get old. And Giriraj Maharaj said, you are already old. But anyway, what's the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances? Actually, it's to cultivate their Krishna consciousness as a child, as our young man here, 8 years old. I don't know if you chant, does he chant any rounds?
He tries not.
He tries. That's good, that's better than not trying. I know very well one girl who lives in Russia, and I saw her earlier today online. We were on Zoom. She's 8. She chants 16 rounds a day. Really? For quite some time now, like this whole year. I mean, she's exceptional. But whatever our stage of life, whether we're in our student phase, or our working phase, or our retired phase, these are all different sort of identities. I am a student. I am a businessman. I am a retired person. These are all temporary. But we should look after our permanent eternal nature by cultivating Krishna consciousness. And the thing is, it's so easy to do. You don't have to be like me. I'm a little bit different because I'm retired. I'm 71, so I better be retired. But I retired when I was, fasten your seatbelts, 21. I'm not joking either. In the sense that I stopped working. I have not worked since then. In the regular sense. I mean, I'm a very busy person, but not in that sense, earning a living and all that. Yeah. So you don't have to be like me, live like me, a much more renounced way of life, I guess you'd say. You can just carry on. Basically, you can carry on doing whatever you're doing, but just add Krishna consciousness. And it's not difficult. Add the chanting, doing some service, associating with the devotees, taking part in the Alberton Namahata, right? Right. Yeah, you can do these things, and you don't have to stress. In fact, you'll find, if you do add Krishna consciousness, that you will stress a lot less about everything. Your work, your business, whatever it is, your family, the crazy load shedding. Oops, I shouldn't say that. I've been going to India since 1976, regularly. And back in 1976, then I went in 1979, and then I went again in 86, and since then I've been there every year, a few times. And I remember back in those days, in Indira Gandhi's time, the electricity, oh my Lord. They wouldn't, at least here they warn you, but there they wouldn't warn you just suddenly. There's no electricity. And then after some time, it's back. And sometimes, it comes back so powerfully that, your lights explode, actually. Yeah. Or if you've got a fan, one of these ceiling fans, your fan spins like the whole house is going to take off. I mean, it was wild, electrically. And sometimes it would just go off for 2 or 3 days. But now, I was just there a few weeks ago. We were there for 6, 7 weeks. And in a rural area. And you know what? The electricity never went off. It never went off. But in South Africa, and I don't know what their excuse is. They're probably still saying it's the National Party's fault from 30 years ago. Because the National Party, did something. Yeah. It's pathetic, actually. But anyway, yeah. So if we add Krishna consciousness to our lives, which is not difficult, then we will stress less. When it comes to load shedding, you'll be able to have a laugh and not say, what are these guys doing? Yeah. Krishna will give you the intelligence to get a generator. But we should do that because like Maharaj Parikshit, he, right now as he's talking, he's going to die in 7 days. But he's going to be prepared. He's going to really be prepared because Shukadev Goswami, he's just about to arrive on the scene, and they are going to sit 7 days, 7 nights, 24/7. No eating, no sleeping, no drinking, nothing. And just recite and hear and ask questions like that, exchanges about the absolute truth about Lord Krishna. So when the time comes for Parikshit to actually bow out after 7 days, he'll be completely fixed, completely focused. Yeah, he'll be completely focused. And he'll go back to the kingdom of God, where life is eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge, in the person of whatever's going on in their lives. Then you're going to take birth again. And we don't want to say anything about the government, but I suppose we just have. But You know, having to deal, and it's not just South Africa, the craziness in this world, the craziness. It seems more crazy than when I was young. It really does. Plenty of craziness, and we have our at least fair share. So, and then we'll have to go through it again. And actually, who knows where we'll be born? In the 6th canto is the story of Bharat Maharaj. You know, traditionally, and even today in certain more traditional circles in India, they don't call India India, they call it Bharat. Yeah. And, you know, if you look at the rupees, if you have a note, and if you can read it, you'll see it says the State or Reserve Bank of Bharat. That's what it actually says. So that's that Bharat, way back in the past, was a great devotee, king. Then he gave up, renounced his post, handed over to his children, went to the forest to focus spiritually, but he became attached to a deer. Yeah, a little baby deer. And he just became, he literally, no joking, he actually got into deer consciousness. And when he passed away a few years later, in the company of the deer, he was born as a deer. Yes. Because he had been a serious devotee before the sort of misadventure. So even though he was born as a deer, he could remember that he had who he had been. And therefore he went and lived by an ashram. Yeah. But still, he had to take birth as a deer. So these are, you know, particularly when you get older and you realize, you know, when you're 40, what did you say, 48? Well, but when you were 38, then you can say, I remember telling myself, yeah, I'm about halfway. But when you're 48, you know, it's very unlikely you're just halfway. Maybe. But when you're 71, you know, really, it's just a countdown. It's a fact. And, you know, we have Parthasarathi Maharaj going through this whole, what a situation. But that's what happens when the body gets old. So our message to all of you, nice people, nice devotees, very sincere, intelligent, concerned people, our message is that take up Krishna consciousness. I mean, if you have already, carry on and just get into it more and more. If you haven't, and the man said, I'm preparing for my next life. Seriously. Yeah. Because as far as he's concerned, he'll continue in his next life. So yeah, add Krishna consciousness. And Krishna Chandra Prabhu, there he is, and family can, you know, teach you and guide you and advise you. Let's not say teach, but let's say advise you. And yeah, and then you'll get over a lot of things which you stress about. And actually, you'll find you'll become extremely happy. It's amazing, actually. It's truly amazing. That's Krishna consciousness. So there you go, devotees and friends. some thoughts for you to take home with you. Did anyone write any questions? Oh, okay. Prabhupada once, there's one question that looks like one question, I think. Is it just, or is there more here? Just one. All right. The Prabhupada said, if after a class there are no questions, it means they all know everything already. We hope. We have a few doubts, but anyway, there's one question. For one living a Krishna conscious way of life, how does the concept of karma, karma and karma, is it? Well, it says karma, looks like K-A-M-A, and karma, K-A-R-M-A, influence or affect their final thoughts. Okay, for one living a Krishna conscious way of life, how does the concept of karma, K-A-M-A, means desire, and karma means laws of action and reaction, influence or affect their final thoughts? Good question, good point. So if someone's really living a Krishna conscious life, like Namacharya Prabhu, Krishna Chandra Prabhu, I admire them actually. They're really good men. So, if we talk about karma, K-A-M-A, desire, well, you can see their desire is to be Krishna conscious, because they're basically all their working, all their free time, they're involved in Krishna conscious activity. Like Namacharya, he's retired now, and he is a member of our, what should we call it? It's the main body made up only of the most senior of our devotees who look after the fixed assets of this Krishna consciousness movement in this country. Means basically our properties, like our temple in Durban. To replace it would cost, anyway, a good few million. And our temple in Phoenix, sort of the same thing. In Durban, here, Lens and Sandton and Midrand and Pretoria, and then there's in PE, there's a place, in Cape Town, there's a place. These places are worth, I don't know how much, but I don't know if it's 100 million rands, but it's probably not much less. Anyway, it's quite a bit. So yeah, he's in that body of devotees, looking after. It's such a responsible service to protect the properties. Yeah. So his karma, in the sense of desire, in the sense of desire, K-A-M-A, he's engaged in all these things. And right, yes, that's right. In running the temple in Lens. Yeah, and you've got the Namahati here, the gatherings here. We try. Together, or?
Both.
So that's good. But if we talk about karma, the reactions, when we talk about karma, we can keep a particular concept or picture in our minds. A coin. You know about who has not flipped a coin before? You never, okay. Yeah, probably best not to do it. But as they say, flip a coin. Heads I win, tails you lose. So, anyway, but that coin traditionally has a head side and a tail side. And when you've got the head side, you've also got the tail side. You can't have one or the other, independent of each other. So, when you do an activity, there's a natural reaction. And you can't just say, I will take the activity, but I don't want the reaction, thanks. It's like saying, I'll take the head side of the coin, but I don't want the tails. You can't do it. Even if somehow you cut through the coin, and now the tail side is sort of gone, but you've just created another tail side. Yeah. So that's karma. That's karma. The laws of action and reaction are and very equal. You get exactly what you deserve. Yeah. So, but for a devotee, someone who is living a Krishna conscious way of life, their karma, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, all their karma gets burnt away practically immediately. Not just after many years of being a devotee and trying. Finally it all gets removed. But it all gets removed very quickly. Almost as soon as someone becomes a bit serious about being a devotee. So therefore, it will not influence or affect your final thoughts. If you really absorb yourself in the way of life, then when the time of death comes, you'll be remembering Krishna, the devotees, the spiritual master, Prabhupada, the mantra. You'll be full of all these things. And then you'll go to Krishna. Yes? So otherwise, if you're a Bollywood fan, don't mind me using that as an example. And you're not so much into Radha and Krishna or Sita and Ram, but you're more into Aishwarya and Abhishek. And what is that something going to be? Kuch bhi nahi. I mean, nothing of value at least. So there you go. Give it thought. Thank you all very much for listening very patiently. We wish you all the very best, and if we can be of service any time and any way, please let us know. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.